I am Tad Anderman. I'm class of 1981. I originally came from Denver, Colorado. I was a 2-year senior at the school, and it was very exciting. Very different world than where I originally came from. VBS is an interesting, the events that led me to the school was quite interesting. I was actually, my mom had her best friend who lived in Corrales, and Joan Finley, who went to the school. My mom's best friend found out about it through their family, which resonated back to Denver where I lived, and my mom in turn said, maybe you should check out this school, whether I was being pushed out of Denver for being a radical kid, or just they thought it would be best for me, or maybe a little bit of both. That's what ended up happening. And so I went down, I applied for the school my first year. I was not accepted, and so I went back to public school in Denver for another year, and then I came back and I was determined to reapply for VBS. It was that important. What I saw there was magical. The people were, absolutely, truly grounded, down to earth, and in the director of admissions, one of the greatest people I've ever met in my life. He was someone I wanted to be back around. It was something I wanted to see that school. I wanted to be a part of it, and I went back. And I got accepted the second go around. I think it was, having gone back to the school, I think it was, for one, I think a lot of it it wasn't just the students that took me around and showed me the school, which was a great part of how the admissions process works there. But at the time, you had Judge Mason, you had Edward Rubovitz, who was the headmaster, who ended up being my advisor. He had 2 advisees, Tammy Nidell and myself, for 2 years. And at the time, we weren't all that happy with it, but we had to put up with it. Ed ended up being a very good headmaster for different reasons. He had a lot of things to work with, but I think it was a matter that Judge Mason, who was there at the time, really was this incredibly bright individual. I mean, one of the brightest men I've ever been around. Very pleasant, very kind. He had a really good ability to get into people's heads in the very most positive way. And the portrayal of the school that he made was phenomenal. And the excitement around the school, I mean, I grew up with a family that I have 3 geologists in our family. My dad was one of them. My dad used to take us around the Southwest, and so as little kids, and so the fact that I was at home, I knew Sedona not well, but I'd been in the Southwest almost every other year. The environment was phenomenal. The students that I met were phenomenal. The whole experience just, it grows. It still grows today. I mean, that's the big part of it. I see everyone here, and it's just, we pick up where we left off is really where and that's what this school is about, is a strong bonding. We have an incredibly strong bond, and that's what, separates the school from elsewhere. Well, a big how it influences me today was, part of the reason I went there is because I really wanted to study anthropology and archaeology, and the biggest attraction to the school was that I learned through others who I didn't know them, but I'd heard about the school, was its field trips. And the one thing I always grew up wanting to be ever since I was a little kid, 10 years old, was to be an anthropologist, archaeologist. And I heard that if I went to the school, I was going to possibly have the opportunity to go live with a family during our field trips in March. And the one thing I really wanted to do, worse than anything, was to be able to go on the field trip and be with a family at the Hopi Indian Reservation, which fortunately my senior year I got to do. Cliff Perkins took me out there. I got to stay with probably the best family of all, which was an experience that was amazing. We were there after the bean dances. We got to go into the Kiva dances for the 3 weeks I was there, every Saturday and Sunday night. My whole world of getting to see live anthropology around me just came true. The school afforded me everything that I'd heard about, and unfortunately I convinced Cliff to put me in the family that I thought would get the best opportunity to follow that, and I did, and it was my dream come true at the school. It was absolutely, the field trips are the most enriching part of that school in many regards. It's fabulous. It's stupendous, it's sublime. I mean, those are sort of cutesy terms, but they also sort of explain what it is. I think the environment, you truly are yourself. Everyone else around you that's a part of the school are very, very grounded people, which is really great. Everyone's very honest. We live in a community where, we all have to, pitch in to what we do, but it's also a part of what makes the school strength is that you get to do that. I think the best part about it is, within a matter of just a couple weeks, within your first month, you pretty much get to know who everybody is and by namesake and what you see. And so you're already bonding with them, not just on a namesake, but who they are. You're sleeping, you're in the same dorms as they are. All of it becomes glued and cohesive in a very short period of time, and that bond is most impressive. Judge Mason undeniably was the greatest influence, the greatest teacher, greatest overall ambassador to Verde Valley School. Intensely bright gentleman, very, very thoughtful. The great thing was he, like him, or like myself, both of us loved tennis, so we played tennis a lot all the time, which was really great. But the best thing the thing that I enjoyed most about my time around Judge was our admissions committee. We'd meet in the mornings when we had prospective students coming to the school, and to know that we were an integral part of, taking these people around, conveying our thoughts, our thoughts about these prospective students back to him in a meeting the following day, knowing that we were a part of who was going to be in our environment, who was going to be a part of, our school in the following year or the following semester, depending on when they came in. Judge was really good about accepting our word and taking it into serious consideration. He's also very, there's a lot of, as bright as he is and as intelligent as he was, there were funny times. I got to admit, I could tell a funny story about it, which is, sometimes kids got busted for, things they shouldn't have been doing. And one night in East Dorm, which I lived in, we had a bunch of the Iranian students and a bunch of other people upstairs in East Dorm, and they were partying up there, admittedly. I hope this tape doesn't go too far. But anyway, it was really interesting. When kids got busted at school for doing something wrong, the teachers were like, stereotypical in the sense that they would, they'd yell at you, "God damn, you're dumb. You shouldn't be doing this. What's wrong with you? Oh God, you're going to spend, next week at CLC. You're going to do all these, you're going to, they really come down on you." And I remember that night when Judge went up there with John Campbell, and they busted in the room because I happened to be downstairs, and I followed him upstairs. And Judge had this demeanor that was totally opposite. He'd look at him, he'd laugh, and he'd go, in a very calm voice, go, "Oh, you guys messed up. Oh, I guess we're going to see you in CLC. And oh, by the way, all your liquor that's here, I'm going to take it for the end of the year party. I hope you guys have a nice evening, because Monday's going to be a different story for you." And so he had the tact. He didn't need to yell, obviously, that night. But that was, and what was so incredible about that in itself was the kids were infuriated. They expected to be yelled at and punished on that moment. And he was the reverse of it. A total reverse of it. He just, "Okay, kids, you guys messed up. We'll see you Monday," type thing. But he just had a glowing, resonance about him that I thought was just phenomenal. Absolutely. Mine is interesting because it was a place that I had just for myself. I really like to roam around the back of the headmaster's house and even around the house itself, but back behind there, because I really got a kick out of looking around the bushes and that for all of the Gamble's quail that hung around the house down back there, and the wildlife in there with the lizards and everything else all happened around there. And it was not an area that everyone else was at, and it's not probably one that everyone would have probably think about. But it was just a quiet area, and then more times than not, I would find the birds in there, and I just had I loved it. I thought it was a good area just to roam around and be myself and be quiet. First and foremost, I'd probably go back to what I've stated before. I really would encourage whether you're a first-year freshman, a second-year sophomore, third-year junior, fourth-year senior, get on the admissions committee, get involved, be a part of the school. Know who it's really cool to know who you're bringing into the school, and that you're a part of that experience, a part of that community, and the admissions committee really was a big part of it. I think also I'd have to admit it would have been phenomenal had I been a 4-year senior instead of a 2-year senior. I think that was a big part of it. But I think another part of it is that really get to know a number of the teachers. We had exemplary teachers, and that taught in a different way, different manner, a different environment that the school is a part of. But that was also what made them so special, so unique. And no, it's an experience that lasts forever.